Hey guys, we're going to be doing a hub assembly wheel bearing on a Ford Explorer. This is a Sport 2002. It's going to work for a lot of years. Let's get down to business. You got your big wheel cover to take off. Just use a pry bar or a screwdriver in this little slit there. Pop it off. You got 19 millimeter lug nuts to zip off. Wheels off, right? Alright, now let's get these brakes apart. We got a 13 millimeter. Right on the back of here. I've already cracked them free. We're going to go ahead and just spin these right off. Boom. Alright, we're going to grab ourselves a big screwdriver. We don't want to hurt the brake pads or the rotor. We're going to just press that caliper a little bit. So we can take the caliper off. The caliper comes off real easy. It's always a good sign. You want to get that nice and secure up there somewhere it's not going to fall off. Now we got 15 millimeter bolts on the brake mounting bracket. We're going to zip those off real quick. I'm going to need a swivel socket for the top one. I can't get my impact in. There we go, got my socket. So it looks like our rotor already wants to come off, so that's good. We don't have to pound it off. If you're not changing the rotor, make sure you don't hit the studs or the friction surface. Hit right there to get it to break free. There we go, got an angle on it. Might clean these up before I put them back on. We'll see what happens. Doesn't look like the pads were wearing unevenly too much. Alright, rotor's coming off. Now we want to make sure, well first, what do we got here? 32. Alright, 32 millimeter on the axle nut. So we're going to want to zip that off. Go. And this hub is absolutely destroyed. We need to separate the axle shaft from the hub. So I like to use an air chisel with a pointy bit. Press that axle back out of it. There we go. And there is absolutely no bearings left in this. That's how bad it was. Insane. Then it just comes right out like that. I don't like that because it's going to be harder to remove. So that kind of sucks. Alright. So now we need to get the 3 bolts out from the back of the hub. They're going to be 15 millimeter as well. Let's see if we can get an impact on them first. Get our 15 put back on our gun. All right, that one came. Might help to clean off the threads a little bit, but there's not really any threads showing anymore. Now we're going to turn the wheel the other way. That one. The top one's going to be the trickiest, usually is. I think we're going to turn the wheel back the other way. I think we got more room for the top one if we turn the wheel back. Might have to use an extender, wobble extender or something. And move the axle a little bit. Ooh, so close. So close. Not quite. Go with the wobble. Go, we're getting on it. Almost. There we go. There we go. With this universal socket, able to get all three of them without much trouble. Don't have to do anything by hand. Now we got to get this hub to come off. Usually I would hammer the hub assembly, the flange surface of it, but that's destroyed. Can't really get a hammer blow on it. We can spray it down with some PB Blaster. This has some nice angles on it that I think we can get into with an air chisel. I'm going to use a longer, flat air chisel to try to get up in there and start prying this out. Alright, we do have our wheel speed sensor to deal with. See, it's hidden behind this shield. So that's 8mm bolts on that. We're going to want to take that out. And your wheel speed sensor, looks like we got a 10mm holding into the steering knuckle here. And then just a bunch of hold down clips all the way up into here. Let's see if we can take a peek at where the connector is. If we go up underneath here, there's the connector. You press down and pull out. So there's the little latch right there. All right, let's get that shield off. We're in the 8 and a 10mm. We got an 8 and a 10 right here. Make sure you put this shield back on the right way. Sometimes these little bolts like to snap off. Give them a little heat if you have to, if they feel like they're going to snap. This one felt good from the get-go. Next one. This one's pretty rusty and abused, but the bolts are coming out. Alright, this one is rotted off. An 8mm is not grabbing. The next smallest size is going to be 5/16. Let's try 5/16. See if we can get on it. No. Let's go smaller. It's rotted out. We're going down to a 7. And that 7 is too small. So we'll grab vice grips. See if we can grab it with some vice grips. We do have our 10mm on the back of the steering knuckle here. Worry about that later. Oh. Yeah, this is not working for us. So we're just going to bend it a little bit without hurting it. And we should be able to grab that out of there, that wire. I need a smaller 10mm to get in on that. There we go. Got my short 10mm that I can put on there. one little bolt back here holding down the wire. Oh, that's not, maybe that's an 8mm, guys. My bad. Yeah, that's an 8mm. We'll just put a wrench on it. It looks like the same story here. All rotted out. Can't get anything on it. That sucks. Ooh, I might be able to get a grab. No, no good. And it looks like this one does not unclip. So we'll worry about that later. Let's get our air chisel out. We'll start working this hub. Came right out super easily, way easier than expected. Remember the position that your wire was in? And there is all kinds of metal up in here. What I'm going to do is go in with my wire wheel or Dremel tool and clean this out because it's real nasty, there's metal. And I'll get this bolt off on this wiring harness. Alright, here we go, guys. I was able to get that bolt out of the back of the steering knuckle. Cleaned up my hub assembly, put a little grease on the hub assembly where it's gonna mate. Got our wheel straight, we're gonna get everything lined up. So we've got to get this caliper out of the way. And usually put a little bit of grease right on the splines, the axle to help that new hub assembly just line up and slide on there smooth. Now see, now as we couldn't get the shield all the way off, we've got to feed the wire in. Underneath this shield. Looking pretty good, like the shaft's lined up with the splines. So we got our 3 bolts put in. And we might have to wiggle the hub a little bit to get it to line up. Looks like we got to twist a little. Maybe line up that top one first. Get that top one in first. It kind of hits on the CV axle a little bit. Go. I think we got them started. This one to start. All right. And we'll spin our wheel. Turn it. And grab the air hose. Let's get these tightened down. Kind of snug it up a little bit. You want these nice and tight. I think I'm gonna go with the ratchet. Finish them off. Ratchet and an extender. Oh, that one's tight. All right. Now we got to hit that other side. Turn in the wheel again. Where did I put that socket? I just had it. There it is. We'll zip this guy on. Good. Always use a new axle nut. We're going to torque this to 184 foot-pounds. That's 2001 to 2003. This is the torque spec. I'm not going to torque this down. I'm just going to zip it on. Haven't torqued it yet. Just got her kind of flush there. Alright, now we're going to turn our wheel the other way. We got the key in the ignition so that the steering wheel doesn't lock. Alright, what's up guys? They had a phone call. Stopped me in my tracks. Alright, so I put the 2 bolts back in the shield and I ran the wheel speed sensor wire through all the clips. Time to put the brakes on. I have cleaned up these brakes. I got the wheel turned for more access. So I've cleaned up the sliders. One of them was frozen. I used some heat and some vice grips. Got it spinning, extracted it, wire wheeled it, cleaned it up with some grease. So when I'm putting brakes on, I usually like to just put one lug nut in real quick. Not too tight, just give it a little zip so that the rotor stays still. Makes it easier to put the mounting bracket on. Got our 2 mounting bracket bolts. If your hardware is rusty and you're reusing it, clean it up with the wire wheel. We got the rotor on. Now we put our 15mm brake bracket back on, mounting bracket. There we go. They're both threaded in there. Now we're gonna zip that on. Once again, I keep losing that 15mm. I don't know why. It's just the 15. Gets me every time. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Over here, maybe? No, I don't see it. I don't see it here either. Where's that 15? 15. Where are you, 15? There it is. Found it. It's just that one socket. Keeps running off. Get those nice and tight. And we need our universal, if we're gonna use the air on that top one. Go. Now we're gonna push our pads together so they're against the rotor. Slap this caliper on. We're gonna move our sliders so they're lined up the proper way. And push them in. There we go. We got our two, what were these, 13mm coming in from the back. Don't use air on these. You can snap them off. We twist it a little. And we got to get these to line up. All right, position. That one's lined up. There we go. Got this one. 13mm socket. 3/8 ratchet. Get them nice and tight. We're about done. We still need to do the final torque on the axle nut. So we're gonna take this lug nut off, put our tire on, put our 5 lug nuts on, and bring it back down and torque the axle nut. We decompress the brakes just a little bit, so pump your brake pedal a few times before you take off so it seats those pads. And through this, there we go, through the center hole of the tire, you can torque your axle nut while it's on the ground, or while it's still in the air, have somebody hit the brakes so you can get torque on it. Otherwise, this is just going to spin. And that'll about do it, guys. What was that, 184 foot-pounds for 01 to 03? Thanks for watching.